Right.
Just hope the Wi-Fi doesn't go down again.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I know.
I don't even know why. It's been fine. I've been on it for 2 hours.
Yeah. That's a lot clearer, Craig, as well. I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's lovely. Let's get
on Facebook and share this on Facebook again.
Yeah, let's do the same thing. Let's get a few people shared into the group, and then we can get started. All right. Turn off your phone, Craig, at your end. Totally turn your phone off if you can.
Well, completely turn it off or turn the sound off?
Yeah, just turn the volume off, turn the volume right down, because that's what was getting the feedback as well.
Well, the volume's off of the phone.
Yeah, lovely. Thanks. Okay. Right, let's just get a few people.
Share this.
There's one there. And let's get that one done. Share here.
And now I can see who's joined the group as well.
That's it. So let me just put in coronavirus group. My coronavirus group here. And let's just get it.
Karen, hi Karen. Karen see us. And John Levicki. Good old John Levicki.
Yes, top man is John. Real top man.
Lovely boy. Lovely boy.
Right. So, ladies and gents, a very, very good evening to you all. And apologies for the technical delay earlier. So we're now back all online and ready to go. So brilliant. So I wanted that Craig is happy to be interviewed by me. Following this interview, you'll have a chance to ask Craig and myself some questions. So, ladies and gents, just before we actually start, just to reintroduce myself, my name's Jonathan Waterman. I'm an award-winning wedding and events Toastmaster, coordinator, planner, celebrant, auctioneer, and a booking agent for other services. A little bit about Craig Neal. So I know a lot of you may know about Craig, but I want to reiterate to everybody here, that those of you who don't know Craig, Craig is one of the premier UK and international wedding and corporate singers. Craig ensures every show that he performs at, he will totally set alight. He really does know how to entertain, and he is also a songwriter. With his powerful and very passionate performances from Neil Diamond to Michael Bublé, Kings of Leon to Maroon 5 and more. Swing, pop, Motown, soul, rock, the list just goes on. There's not a lot that Craig cannot put his talents to. I'm really honoured, as I say, that Craig is delighted to be here this evening. He's taken the time to actually be here. Now, before we start, as we know, we're in a terrible position within our lives. There's a terrible COVID-19 epidemic, and it's caused altogether 32,500 people to die within the UK and 275,000 people worldwide. So I feel that we should just close our eyes, everybody here, for 1 minute, and let's hold these people in our thoughts and think about the poor families that are grieving for the dead and the dead who are resting in peace. So let me ask you now to just close your eyes for 1 minute. Thank you. That's it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your cooperation in this. As I felt it was right for us all just to show respect and to, you know, hold the people, hold everyone in your thoughts. Those that have perished. Thank you again, ladies and gents. Thank you, Craig. So, Craig, a very good evening to you. Can you hear me, Craig? Craig? Can you hear me? Just checking that.
Thank you. Good evening to you.
Just checking that Craig's here and with us. It's gone a bit quiet on his side at the present, so I was just waiting for Craig to come back online. Right, sorry to keep you waiting, guys. Just waiting for Craig now. You're sorry, right.
I'm back. I'm back. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Craig.
We're not having much luck, are we?
Yeah, as you say, it's the weather, perhaps, to do with the Wi-Fi and everything. It's knocking out the signals. Can you hear me, Craig?
It's not true. Yeah, I can hear you. You can
dear.
Hear me?
Can you hear me, Craig?
Can hear you. Surrender. Out there, I tell you. That's what it is. It's got to be.
No,
yeah,
well,
yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you very well, Craig. So, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, very good evening to you, Craig. I would like you to kind of just reiterate and tell people who you are and what you do, please.
Well, it was a great intro that you gave me. But yeah, in a nutshell, I sing and make people happy wherever it is, whether it's at an arena with 5,000 people or whether it's at the moment a driveway in front of people's houses.
Yes. Well, that's always very, very nice. So it's you know, you're very, very versatile where you actually perform, and it's good to be like that. You know, you're basically catered for the smallest audience and the largest audiences. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've always done that. You know, sometimes people may even book me just to go around to their house and sing to 10, 12 of their guests when they're having a dinner party, and sometimes they are the most fun evenings. You know, they got a nice big lounge, nice big dining room, and they'll have a meal, and then they'll come and sit down with me, and we'll have a little party in the living room, and they're great. You got to be versatile, and you adapt your show to the stage that you're on.
Well, that's right. It's the important thing is just being flexible, being versatile, and it's working to the client's needs, isn't it? Really, to their requirements.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah, and every show is different. No two shows are the same.
No, absolutely. So can I kindly ask you, Craig, how long have you been in the wedding industry for, and how does it actually all start out for you?
Well, I went into a rock band when I was 15. I started my own rock band, and then at about 20, 21, I went into more of the solo kind of genre, doing more private and corporate functions.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, that was where the money was. And then, of course, I sort of stumbled into this Neil Diamond show that I do, where a lot of people were saying that the similarities in my singing voice to Neil Diamond's was uncanny. And I thought, okay, let's look into that. I started doing the Neil Diamond sound-alike show. I never did a look-alike. I never put a wig on and done the whole, you know. To me, that cheapens what you're doing. And as a songwriter and a singer myself, and doing other songs by other singers, I don't want to just pigeonhole myself just into the Neil Diamond thing, you know.
Yeah. I mean that's all quite interesting, actually. I mean, from an interesting start in a rock band. How did that all come about, Craig?
Well, I was in an amateur dramatic group when I was about 14,
Yeah.
and really enjoyed the attention that that you get when you're on stage. I mean, it was with stage struck. Remember Phyllis Borden's Stage Struck? Do you remember
Yes,
that?
indeed, yes.
Yeah, and I did a show, and I was originally just in the chorus. I just started. I was in the chorus, and then about 6 weeks before the curtain was due to go up,
Yeah.
the lead bad guy, if you like, in the show was called The Music Man. 76 trombones and everything, and the lead bad guy just felt he couldn't do the part anymore. He'd lost his confidence, and the producers came up to me and said, look, we've been looking and watching you in the chorus.
Yeah.
How do you fancy coming and taking the lead baddie? You got to sing a few songs. And I thought, yeah, okay. And we did that in the West End. It was a
Yeah.
3-night show. It was 3-night run.
Okay.
And then I went into, like I say, I went in for my own rock band with remember Alan Green, my friend from school.
Yeah.
And remember Alan? And then we met a guy called John Coombs, who is an amazing guitarist.
Okay.
And then he had a friend of his called Jason, who, funny enough, couldn't really play the bass guitar very well, but he learnt on the job, and he learnt very, very quickly. And he's now a very, very formidable bass player in his own right. And yeah, the four of us went doing gigs around London, doing songs from U2 and Pink Floyd and Queen and The Who. There was 4 very different influences, but we all loved pop rock music. So the 4 of us contributed, and yeah, so that lasted for about 3 years or so.
Wow.
And then we went in. Then I went solo and done more songwriting, and built up my stage show as a solo performer.
I think that's fantastic, though, to go from a rock show, a band, performing several times a week in the West End and wherever you were performing, where else you were performing, to actually come and, to come in where everyone knows and loves you in this Neil Diamond capacity. And now you're singing not just Neil Diamond, but you can be versatile to anyone. Is that correct? You can kind of, you can put on a show for any kind of professional star, really, can't you? Hello, Craig?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that... Hello? Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, I mean...
You got me?
Yes, I've got you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, so I've got that versatility, but then I think as a performer, as a singer, you also need to know your limits. There are quite a few artists out there that I don't sing the songs of, purely because they're so good, and you think, I don't sing any really Michael Jackson songs. I don't do any Luther Vandross songs, because in my opinion, if you don't do a song at least as good as the artist, then you shouldn't really touch it.
Sure.
So I leave those certain singers that I think are just untouchable. I leave them alone and concentrate on the artist and the songs that I think I do justice to.
Well, that's always good. I mean, would you say out of all of the obviously out of all the singers, all the famous singers, would you say that Neil Diamond is your number one?
Well, people associate me the most with Neil Diamond, and the funny thing is that most of the shows that I have been doing prior to the lockdown for many, many years were Craig Neal shows. So there was all different artists, all different singers in the show that I was singing.
Yeah.
Yet still people associate me with the Neil Diamond thing, which is fine, because it's, I still do the Neil Diamond and sing a lot of his songs, but out of an evening, maybe be 1 or 2 Neil Diamond songs. It's very, very hard to get away from songs like Sweet Caroline. People want to hear it, and when hear me sing, even when I'm singing other people's songs, they still say, "Oh, you sound like Neil Diamond," you know. And then of course they start asking for "Love on the Rocks" or "Hello Again" and "Sweet Caroline," and the list is endless.
Well, that's good because, yeah, as I say, people know you. People know you for doing your Neil Diamond. And you know, not just saying obviously because I know you. I know you do you're very very entertaining. You're a massive crowd pleaser, and you really get the crowd going. And that, you know, your passion is oozing, isn't it? Really, when it comes to doing Neil Diamond, obviously others as well, but Neil Diamond, your passion really oozes the most, doesn't it?
Well, it's where I'm vocally the most confident and the most comfortable. You know, our voices naturally just sound alike. It's one of those things. I don't really impersonate Neil Diamond. I'm just singing his songs, and my voice is the same as Neil Diamond's, and that's pure coincidence. And when I sing other people's songs, if I'm singing a Lionel Richie song or something a bit more soulful, I have to really work at not sounding so Neil Diamond-esque and moving away from that. That's actually harder for me to do than my natural voice, which is like Neil Diamond's. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Oh, just moving on to the next question. I mean, thank you very much for clearing that bit up. I just want to move on to another question now. I mean, your professional service is taking you both UK, nationwide and worldwide. Do you have a particular gig that you actually most enjoyed? And where was it, please, Craig? Let's hear it.
Oh, that's a tricky one because I've done so many and enjoyed so many.
Of course.
And they are so diverse as well. I can think of, like I said to you earlier, living room gigs that I've done with 14 people or whatever, and they've been so much fun, and we've laughed, and it's been very relaxed. And then I think of shows that I did when I did the Manhattan Nights tour, which was the music of Neil Diamond and Barbra Streisand. There was obviously a female singer as well doing the Barbra Streisand, and that was a great show. And that toured the UK, was amazing. Touring the UK in 2006, supporting the Osmonds for 13 of their shows.
Wow,
that also was incredible. But it was incredible to be involved in that tour. And the show, for 5 years, I was lucky enough to fly to Bangkok, to Thailand, to be involved with the Sun Band and their New Year's Eve shows at the Oriental.
Fantastic.
And that was that was amazing.
Yeah, well, it sounds as though, obviously your work's taking you far and wide. You've built up a reputation that, the people love you and it precedes you, and, especially in the industry, people, especially in the industry, people talk and they recommend you. So, you obviously get a lot of word of mouth, I take it.
That's the best form of advertising, isn't it? Is word of mouth. You can spend as much money as you want on newspapers, that show, and it's I try and be quite quite easy and flexible. To the end of the day, it's not about us as much as there are people out there that can be a bit like divas. It's not about us. We're just a cog in a big wheel, and you got to remember that whether you're doing somebody's wedding or whether it's that are watching and the people that are booking us. And I've worked with people in the past, and they get caught up in it all, and they think, oh, I'm the star, and it's no. They're the stars. The people that are watching are the stars. They're the important people. Deliver what they've come to see.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. I mean, I've always said, you're there, you're working for the client, you're there to put on a good show for the client and their guests. And that is exactly who it's all about, especially, at a wedding or an event. We're all there, do our part in it. If you don't, I mean, is that something you would sort of agree on, where you're there, you fit in with the client's requirements, and you perform to your best of your ability?
Yeah, had those evenings when you've spoken to, you know, even maybe the Toastmaster's not so helpful, or the caterer's not so helpful, or the band are not so helpful. And it's very important that if everybody works together, it makes the whole evening a lot easier.
Absolutely. Yes, it is. It's about teamwork, and teamwork plays a very, very, very big part in our industry anyway, to make an success to make a success for the event, and for the event to be memorable indeed for the clients. And that's, so to say, the essence, isn't it, really?
Yeah, of course.
So basically,
it's all about the client, and that's how you get the word of mouth. People walk around saying, John,
are you still with me?
Yeah, I'm here. I just couldn't hear you.
That's okay. That's all right. Can I just ask you then, Craig, apart from weddings, have you done many corporate events for big audiences? Many of the large, maybe London corporate events, like huge, large gala dinners, where you've been involved?
Yeah, I've done a few of them. They actually have got the budget to book the actual. They'll go and book Neil Diamond rather than book Craig Neal, who's going to sing a few Neil Diamond songs. You know, it's a much bigger budget. But yes, I've done shows at the Governor House and at the Ritz, and you know, different places along Park Lane, and stuff like that. Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. Now, can I kindly ask you though, have you actually personally met Neil Diamond, or any of the people that you kind of you tribute? Have you actually met? Have you met Neil himself?
I haven't met him as in said hello and shook his hand.
Yeah.
I've been within probably 2 foot of him, well, on ITV, and it was filmed. It was at the Dominion, I think it was.
Yeah.
One of the theatres in London. It was an evening with Neil Diamond, and the wonderful magician Nick Einhorn, who I know. He called me up. He said, "I've got some tickets. Do you want to come along?" And we went along. And at the end of the show, they left, and I said, "I'm just going to go round to the stage door to see if he comes out the back of the theatre." And there was probably about 20, 30 people that had gathered around with the same idea. 10 minutes, he did actually come out, and he walked through the crowd, and I could have reached out and patted him on the shoulder. I didn't. There was too many security guards there, but I was as close as I got.
Oh no! Well, it's
a bit of a shame. It's a bit of a shame because you try and get in contact with these people. His wife, I follow him on Twitter, and his wife really manages his Twitter account because she's his manager. Yeah. And I've sent a message to her, just a general question or thing, just easy things that she could answer, but she's chosen not to answer me.
No, but that's very, very, very interesting, because I mean, Neil's obviously, I know Neil's obviously the person you aspire to, and you obviously you like to kind of stay in touch with see what's going on with him and his family, which is a good thing, really. That's a nice thing. Maybe one day, you never know. You might have the pleasure.
Oh, sorry, John. I've lost you again, mate.
No, that's all right, Craig. So basically, we were saying, it's good that you're, you follow him on Twitter, you follow his wife on Twitter, that type of thing. So maybe one day, who knows, you might actually meet him. I suppose things happen, weird things happen. I suppose and who knows. I suppose that will be one of the greatest things in your lifetime. Am I right in saying so?
It would be great, I think, to meet Neil Diamond and shake his hand and have a conversation with him. But they say that you should never really meet your heroes, and I'd be really quite disappointed if I were to meet him and he was to be rude or arrogant, as a lot of these megastars can be.
Yeah.
I'm also probably more than a Neil Diamond fan. I was a massive George Michael fan. I adore George Michael's music, and Barry Manilow as well. I think Barry Manilow's a wonderful showman. But you hear stories about these megastars, not so much George Michael. I think he was quite down to earth, but a lot of these other superstars, they are like divas sometimes. I think they can get out of their pram a bit and forget that they go to the loo like you and I go to the loo.
Yes, indeed, absolutely, indeed. Yes. No, that's right. I mean, that's a fairly good stance to take, actually, and a good stance if that works for you, of course. I mean, you obviously know what's right for you when it comes down to this sort of thing. So, just to really ask you, Craig, can I kind of ask you, what really does make you tick? Where does all that passion come from? You're you're so passionate about what you do. Where does it come from? What makes you tick inside you?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Well, I'm actually, believe it or not, and off of the stage, I'm quite introvert, and I think when I go on stage and in front of an audience or a camera or whatever, I show off without anybody involved. If you're good at something, of course, if I was not good at what I did, then I'm sure lots of people would say so, and I wouldn't do it for much longer. But when people like and enjoy what you're doing, enjoying the show, you do it more, and you feed the adrenaline. That's the kick. The buzz is the adrenaline. And when you're singing and you've got an audience that are with you, singing along, dancing along, applauding everything that you're doing, the adulation is just magnificent. And sometimes I show down and come down to reality and go back into being that quiet person that I am off camera.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's basically, so it inspires you. You're getting up in front of people, you're putting on the most marvelous show, which people love. And just to see those reactions from people in the audience, clapping and enjoying themselves and dancing, must really, really inspire you to a high level.
Yeah, it's quite tricky because you're looking forward to the next buzz, the next show that you're going to do, where you're going to get that response again, or you hope that you're going to get that response again.
No, absolutely, of course. Can I just ask you, within our wedding and events industry, which you're actually part of, can I ask you what actual markets within the industry would you like to develop more? Is there more work you would like to see, maybe within the Asian market, the Afro-Caribbean market, the English market? Yeah, I don't know, more corporates. What would you like to achieve? What's your goal? Was there another market you'd like to develop more?
Well, you know, I'm happy to go and perform at any genre of wedding, if you like, as long as the people know the music that I'm singing.
Yeah.
You know, it's for the Asian market, which is a huge market, and don't get me wrong, I'd love to be involved in it, but I'm not quite sure for the wedding they want the sort of music that I sing. I might be completely wrong. I haven't done any like Asian weddings and like pure Asian weddings where they mostly, I believe, want all the sort of the Bhangra style music and the music that is in their heritage. However, you know, if someone was to say to me, Craig, you know, we've seen you, we want you to perform at our wedding, I'm happy to, you know, as long as they know what I do, they know what they're going to get. If that's what they think that their family and friends would enjoy, then I'm all for it. I'm happy to do that in an Afro-Caribbean wedding, whatever it is. But I think what you do find is in a lot of these weddings, and you probably know more than I do because you are very popular within the Asian circuit, the style of music that they have is probably more in keeping with their heritage of what, you know, what they've their country, their original countries or their heritage countries would play. And I don't really sing too many.
Yeah, I mean that's very very good. Basically, that you know, you're open to every kind of wedding. You know, whether it be Asian, whether it be obviously Jewish, Afro-Caribbean, corporate events, etc. And you're happy to work with anybody. Obviously, you'll go through a playlist with them in advance. What you do, you'll have your meetings, and you'll make sure it's all perfect for them. I take it you'll give them, whoever it is you perform to, you'll give them a very very good performance. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I sit down with all my clients beforehand, before the event, whether it's a wedding, whether it's an anniversary party, a bar mitzvah, whatever birthday party, whatever it is. You know, I sit down with them and go through the song choices that they can have. It's normally about 30 songs in an evening, and I try and guide them around what works and what doesn't work. Because what you find a lot of the time is that certain clients don't know. They don't know what the audience really want. They may love Pink Floyd or Dire Straits, and then, oh, can you play? Oh, you sing Dire Straits? Do you sing Pink Floyd? Yeah, I do sing those songs, but I don't think that, you know, Brothers in Arms or Wish You Were Here is the ideal song to get people up and dancing. You know, if that's what you want. Oh, but I love Pink Floyd. I say, yeah, I love Pink Floyd as well, but we want a party. And you're going to get more of a party response with Ain't No Stopping Us Now than you are going to get with Comfortably Numb by Pink Floyd. You know, you just try and guide people around. It's the same thing when they turn around and say, oh, I don't like a certain song that you sing. Just pulling one out of the air. Like, is this the way to Amarillo, for example? And I don't like that song. I say, well, we don't have to sing it, but the party, if you want it just about you, then that's fine. But when you've got 300 other guests that are probably going to jump up and dance around to Is This the Way to Amarillo, what, you know, do you want all your guests to enjoy your evening as well, or is it just about you? You just try and gently guide people around what is the best ingredients to make the show most enjoyable for them.
Yeah, I mean that's a very 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 good thing, to be honest with you, that you're, as I say, you will work with the clients, and in your professional capacity you'll guide them, you know, because I mean they're coming in, they're creating a party, and the repertoire needs to be right for them, and in your professional capacity you'll guide them, you'll advise them to make it all come together so they'll have a show that'll be memorable for a lifetime. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing it for a long time. I know what works, I know what doesn't work, and I want them to have the best evening they can possibly have. And if they listen, you know, it's like they go and speak to the caterer and they say, oh, I want bangers and mash, and the caterer says, you know what, a nice fillet salmon will go down better than bangers and mash. You know, I've been doing this a long time. Trust me, this is the best thing for the guests eat. It's the same thing, with me. I just try and advise them.
Well, that's always a very, very good thing. I mean, yeah, I mean, moving on to the next question, Craig, and thank you obviously for answering all the questions.
If they want a certain song, then of course they're here.
Yeah. So as I say, Craig, yeah, moving on to the next question. Thank you so far for answering these questions very nicely, and giving all of our guests a good insight into what you actually do, what goes on in the mind of Craig Neal, how you developed and everything, and it's fantastic to see. Now, can I ask you on something else now? Do you use social media marketing a lot, and what platforms do you actually use, and what's the most effective for you in your line of business? What works?
I pretty much use Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah, which is good. Facebook and Instagram's always they're always good. I mean, Instagram's obviously very visual. Facebook again,
Kind of Facebook one.
Hello.
It's the easiest form. My clients are still using Facebook. Hello, I'm here.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's a good thing. I mean, every wedding and events professional has got a different way of communicating. Obviously, with their marketing and what their portfolio, their credentials, and everything. And you mentioned that Facebook and Instagram is works for you, which is always good. I say Instagram is very good for visual. Facebook again, good at building up a blog. Have you ever had sort of much in the way of doing much in the way of Twitter? Have you ever believed in sending tweets out at all?
I do have a Twitter account. I do use the Twitter account, but I find I think you're limited to the amount of words that you can say. Videos that you might use on Twitter, you've got to put links up. You can't really watch the video. It's not as user friendly as Facebook and Instagram, that's for sure. For me, I find that anyway.
No, that's good. No, thank you very much, obviously, for sharing your social media, your social media part of the business. Just moving on to something now that's very, very kind of interesting within our industry at the moment, and it's been going around on a lot of forums. There's lots and lots of controversy. So just to ask you this question, what your take is, do you feel that wedding or events insurance should be standard to all clients, and why?
Well, I don't think it should be standard. It's up to them if they want to take the insurance out or not. They run their own risk. I think it's a very important thing to have.
Yeah.
I would advise anybody, if they said to me, "Do you think it's we should take be covered?" But to make it standard, I don't think you can force people to take that kind of insurance out. It's not a legal requirement like it is for a car, or it's if people want to take
yeah
their own risk.
Yeah, I mean, quite an interesting one, really, because some venues insist that both the wedding and events professionals and the clients actually sign disclosure saying you've got wedding events insurance, and obviously for suppliers, yeah, obviously that's a public liability insurance, the PAC testing and everything. Again, your view on that is absolutely respected. I suppose we'll have to just see what will happen in the future in relation to this, really.
Well, I think public liability insurance is imperative. That for a supplier, I always have public liability insurance. The PAT testing side of things, I think, is massively hypocritical, because the amount of venues that I've been to, knowing that my equipment all works, everything's all fine, you know, it's been tested, I then, you know, they insist, oh, you must have a PAT test, which is not a legal requirement at all, having a PAT certificate. And then you get there, and their plug points are hanging off the wall, and or not working, and you know, and at the time, no one even asks to see the certificates. You know, they just, you turn up, and no one even says, where are your PAT testing certificates? But you know, it's one of those things, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's I mean, basically, the venue are taking a little bit of a risk by not asking the suppliers for PAT testing. Well, I would say for public liability in particular, because it is a paper trail. You know, should something happen, as I say, you're on their premises. They are still the people who are liable, really, and you know there should be some sort of paper trail in place. Again, that's my view anyway. I mean, what's your view on that?
Well, like I say, public liability insurance as a supplier is something we should definitely have. It's not an expensive thing to have. It's like 60 or 80 quid a year. It's not for me anyway. It's not an expensive thing, and the amount and the security that it covers, not just for the client but for me as well. You know, if a speaker falls on somebody, I don't want that to happen, and I can get in a lot of trouble. As far as PAT testing, that's a bit of a different fish.
No, absolutely. No, thank you very much for your input on that, and I'm sure obviously the guests are interested to hear your take on it, which is great. Let's ask you another question. Has COVID-19 for you had an impact on your business? How's it impacted you, Craig?
Massively. I had 4 huge contracts this year at venues, mostly in South London actually, and within a second, you know, it's pulled from under your feet. I was sitting at home thinking, what am I going to do to generate anywhere in public, really, in the concept I was and have been doing for so many years. I kind of immediately thought, well, I'm going to do my live stream concerts. I'm going to try and do that to make people not forget that I'm out there. So when this is all lifted, they'll still remember hopefully the great shows that I've put on for people in my living room. And of course, loads of people around the country are doing that as well. It's not exclusive to me. But a driveway dedication concept came about.
Yeah.
And that's really taken off. That's been incredible. I can't believe the amount of attention and the amount of people that are contacting me to book me to do a driveway dedication. And it's a whole new niche market that I've discovered. You've experienced it, of course, with your lovely wife Iona. I did one this morning, you know, the lady's 74th birthday, and came outside and I was singing. Today's one was I Just Called to Say I Love You, and she had her niece on the phone. Her niece booked me to sing for her aunt, and she's come outside, and the smile on her face, that's been the response from everybody. Everyone that I've done, they've opened their front door, they've seen me there, and I'm singing to them, and it just captures a moment in a very bright light, making people happy.
Yeah.
Even if it's for just 5-10 minutes in front of their house, social distancing, of course. It's nice.
Do you know what? I think it's lovely. I mean, I can say, obviously, from my own experience, where I decided to surprise my wife. I brought Craig over to my house in Orpington, and he'd done a driveway dedication. He done a couple of Neil Diamond songs, and you know, literally, I mean, my wife and I I mean, my wife in particular, who the surprise was for, was so taken back, and I was really taken back. And Craig, you know, he'll literally get the whole street comes out and they listen to him, and the excitement on people's faces. I mean, it's such a wonderful niche, I feel, that you've actually created. And you know, there's obviously a chance, as you say, that people may copy you, but at the end of the day, you're the original, and people love you for you. They love you for you and your personality and the kind of person that you are. So Craig, you know, I feel you've started a fantastic thing there. Keep progressing, keep developing. People do love you.
Well, thank you, John. It's very kind of you to say so. Yeah, I'm not planning on stopping doing it anytime soon. Even when lockdown's lifted, I still think there's a market for this.
Yeah.
The bizarre thing is I never even thought of it beforehand. I can't take complete credit for thinking of the concept, because it's actually my friend Avi in Israel who he runs a big massive band called the Sun Band, and when they come to the UK, I'm one of his frontline singers. I'm his UK singer, and we were talking on the phone. He said that there's a guy over in Alat who's driving around as a DJ, doing this, pulling in front of people's driveways and singing happy birthday and playing a couple of songs for them. And he said to me, Craig, why don't you try and do it as a singer? And I thought, yeah, okay, that's a good idea. Coincidentally, it was my aunt's 80th birthday a few days afterwards, so we filmed it and I put it to the test, and her response was incredible. And then when I put the video out, it just went crazy. I think it's had 2,800 views, and the driveway dedication I did for you, which is about 2,700 views.
Yeah.
I think it's a lovely thing, and the people that are seeing lovely thing to do. It's a great idea. So yeah, I'll continue to do it. You there, John?
Fantastic. And one last question for you, Craig. What else would you like to add? Is there anything else you would like to add to this interview that I've given you this evening? What else would you like? Anything else you would like to say?
Well, I'd like to say thank you very much for inviting me and allowing me to have this chat with you. It's nice to see you. Thank you to anybody that's joined in and watched the video. And hopefully we've given a little bit of insight of how we work within our industry, what's important, what's not so important. And, you know, when this is all lifted, please come to a show, come and see me performing wherever I'm performing. If you want me to come to your house to sing for your husband, your wife, for a birthday, anniversary, or just as John did, to make someone happy, drop me a line. I'll come and sing for you. No problem.
Well, that's right. Basically, you know, you could put as many comments as you like in here for Craig as well within our within this interview forum that we've just had, or feel free to drop Craig a drop Craig a message. He'll be delighted to help you. And a very, very big thank you again to Craig for taking the time to actually be interviewed. It's been a pleasure to interview you, Craig. And and a big thank you to all of our viewers. Hope you all keep well and stay safe. Thank you all very much for your time, and good night to you all. Thank you again. Thank you.
Good night.
Yeah. And broadcast.